only going to get worse by the time that the End Times DLC releases, with Shiva and the End Times Lords will get to around 110. While we don't know exactly where these legendary lords are going to go, especially as we don't know all of them just yet, an educated guess can easily place Nagash and for other.
And yeah, and that is why I am making this video. So I saw this video when basically when I was chilling, and it kind of inspired me to tell you about Total Warhammer 3. And yes, I don't like the map, how it looks. I don't play Total Warhammer 3 yet. I'm tempted to play yet. I just don't have a lot of space on the computer. But when I saw the map, it's just the western side look completely too small. And when I saw the expanded mod for Total Warhammer 3, it looks completely fine, and I do love it. But I feel likely the areas for these many different legendary lords and heroes, I feel likely it just needs to be spaced out. It needs to be spaced out a little bit more. So yeah, I have been thinking about this moment, and I am not afraid, to be honestly. And I have drawn a map that will be probably a new game for Total Warhammer, and it will completely be a new, like a different new world, like maybe like a new world for Total Warhammer, or it could be like a new game like Total Warhammer 4, if that ever happens. So yeah, and I am tempted to reveal the new map that I have drawn. And this map holds many new factions, a lot of land to explore, and a lot of ancient lore to a lot of ancient civilizations, ancient empires, and basically a lot. So yes, and I am pleased to show this to you. I have not fully revealed the map yet. It's currently right there, so I'm gonna show it. But in the meantime, hope you guys hear what this guy is talking about while I'll reveal the map.
Potential characters, it's easy enough to expect where they're going to go. Hell, if we get Morris Dawnbringer, I can imagine him in Middenheim. So yeah, again, the congestion in certain areas is becoming too much of an issue. Places, barring a few outliers that are able to expand through there and actually benefit for it. Now, there's not much that can actually be done here because, well, the map is the map. They can't really increase the scale of the map, like, say, for example, making the Empire a little bit bigger and stuff, because, well, it's kind of locked in. It sucks a little bit, considering that, yeah, it could have been a little bit larger, but I guess they do have to go by the limitations, and also, not only that, but they have to make sure that it runs smoothly enough for lower end hardware so they can actually generate a lot of sales. This has to be thought out well in advance.
I'm going to lower the volume right now. I have fully revealed the map, and honestly, it looks really good after seeing from the last time I draw on it. There's some areas I need to expand on this map, and I'll work on that later. But in the meantime, so yeah, I am now pleased to show you this. And so yeah, I will be explaining different empires and different territories of land. So yes, we're probably gonna start with the one that is probably up there, so hang on. So here we have this first kingdom that I'm gonna be showing. So there's gonna be many different kingdoms. So this is the first major one, the Black Elf Empire. So basically in this campaign, you're currently at war with another faction that is trying to stop your freedom. And this faction is none other than the eastern province of the ancient empire, which is right here. And your goal in this campaign is to basically beat all of the eastern province. That is basically the easier one of the whole entire game. And once you finish that, we are going to be moving on to another campaign. And here we have another empire. And yes, there is a lore to this. So yeah, this is basically, I don't know how to explain this. But yeah, so yeah, and this goal is basically to take out all your enemies that are constantly threatening this alliance. And that is your main goal. Once you take all of the alliance, once you defeat all of the enemies around your territory, that is basically it for the game. For this campaign or this empire's name is called the Ruined Republic Alliance. Basically, your goal is to take out all of the enemies that threaten you. Once you complete that quest, we're going to be moving on to the next land or the next campaign story. I believe this next one is going to be a huge one. So there's actually different factions in this one. Here we have the Egyptian Lion Pride and the Catling Kingdom. And of course, there's actually another kingdom called the Dogling Empire. So the territory that you see in that is in the orange, that is this next campaign. And I'll explain the lore. So basically, this huge mountain region called the Sandy Mountains has been constantly sending storms of sandy dust walls towards the Egyptian Lion Pride and causing their food supply to go scarce, and there's barely any water. So in this goal, we need to find out why and put an end to this curse that is constantly putting upon on this land. So probably in the starting goals is to find some food and find a lot of water and claim a lot of settlements is how the original process should really go. Once you do that, you make an alliance with the Catling Kingdom right here. Or you could confederate and you can take control of their land, which is basically the easiest choice. Once you do that, you will be entering into the Sandy Mountain territory, which is down here. And this mountain is constantly sending wave after wave of their sandy storms. And these storms are not going to stop. So the only solution is to find the source of this curse. I feel likely this is where you're going to be sending spies and sending a lot of wizards and mages to find what is causing the source. Once you find the source, you'll send your forces, you'll send your legendary lord into the Sandy Mountain territory, and to find out is actually chaos magic sending all of this sandstorms. Once you finish the battle, the sandstorms will be ceased. They will be they will be eliminated. They will be gone. They will be out of your territory. They will be erased for good. and this desert region will return back to life. There will be green seen everywhere. The water supplies will flourish. The food supply will thrive again like always. Let's see now. And these are probably the three major kingdoms of this land. And of course, there are actually other side kingdoms that I have included. Of course, there are actually a bunch of human civilizations as well. So let's talk about this first human civilization. It's not in the overworld kingdom. This land is full of just regular humans surviving, and it's basically like the empire. It's basically like the empire. They're trying to thrive. They're trying to fight for survival. There's a lot of food, water supplies everywhere. That's basically what they're doing. And of course, they have allies on their side. And here we have the Enderman Kingdom. And of course, their land is not visible. It's because there is a spell that is forcing them to be trapped there. And of course, no one can be able to breach that spell. And this is where the next quest begins. You're going to have to declare war on this underground kingdom. And of course, this arrow right here is actually the portal to that underground kingdom. Once you defeat this empire, you will be able to upgrade this portal to be able to make a teleport path to your allies on this kingdom right here. And once you do, you'll be able to expand your land and create order and make peace all across the land. Now let's talk about this next empire. Hang on. All right, so yeah, here we have the Great Wall Kingdom. It's basically a China faction. And this is their wall right here. And there's a lot of fortresses and a lot of cities that are supplying it with military forces, military, artillery, basically like that. And that main circle right there is the capital. And of course, they have an ally that is not friendly with them. It's this one. But however, if these two empires become really friendly with each other, they will be able to defeat the threat that is on this side of the wall. And of course, yes, this is the part I was telling you about. I have not finished yet, but I will do it soon, or maybe later. And the neighbor that is on the western side to this alliance is the Dogling Empire that I was talking about. And actually, this kingdom is actually extremely friendly. They're full of tough dogs. There are buff men. They're basically like the beastmen, and they have a lot of defensive strategies. They're mostly defensive, and they will fight to the death to defend. And they have a lot of good artillery. They have a lot of powerful artillery that is enough to rival the Chaos Dwarves. And for the Catling Kingdom, hang on, where is it? There it is. Basically, in this force, they're mostly made for speed and offensive. They're going to be on the offensive strat. They have a lot of good offensive and basically light armor. And the Dogling Kingdom, where is it? Right here. The Catling Kingdom and the Egyptian Lion Pride. These are basically three main kingdoms that basically have to join forces and confederate with each other to become one massive kingdom. And naming it the the animal kingdom, or the beast folk. Now let's move up north. This is basically all the central. This is all central of this new land. But now let's move up north. So now let's talk about the northern kingdom that is on the northern side of the Black Elf Kingdom. Here we have the natives. So the natives are basically an ancient civilization that has survived a long war. There's barely few of them left, and basically your goal is to expand your land and find more of any people who are surviving out there. And then here we have another kingdom, the Golden Elves. Basically, these elves are basically covered in golden armor. They follow the original elf ways, archers, forces as well. And here we have the Frostwolf clan. And of course, you guys know of the green orcs. Well, this is probably the opposite if you guys heard of Warcraft. And this clan right here is actually the good side of the orcs. Their colors are different. They are really friendly to humans, and they want to stop the evil. They are like the beastmen. They're like buff muscles and all that type of stuff. They're basically like the orcs, but they're not as savage as the orcs or crazy like the chaos warriors. But basically, this kingdom right here is actually a good side, and it's actually a friendly towards humans and a great ally as well. So we are like almost done here, but not quite yet. We're not almost done here. I have explained the northern part. I have explained the central part. And basically in this huge map, there are three huge and powerful kingdoms. The Black Elf Kingdom, the Woman Republic Alliance, and of course the three main kingdoms, the Thogling Kingdom, the Catling Kingdom, and the Egyptian Lion Pride. These three kingdoms form into one powerful nation. And now it's time to talk about a huge major economy that is the powerful one in the world. And of course, I have not put in their name yet or drawn in their territory. I will present this huge chunk of land over here. This is none other than the Bugling Empire. And of course, there is actually another smaller, similar empire, which is this one. This is actually a refuge of the survivals of the Bugling Empire. But however, down here on this huge chunk of land lies, behold, the one who created them all, their goddess. She is actually trapped in a mountain, and there's actually lore to that. So long ago, there were gods, dragons, titans coexisting until a huge blue meteor fell from the skies, or fell from the heavens. Behold herself, the great queen who created the great empire. Her presence was terrifying. She had many eyes on her face. Her face was not like a bug-like. Her huge body resembles of a termite queen And she was big. She was bigger than all. She was powerful. She can be able to create a huge civilization that will be built by billions or even more. She can produce a huge entire army. And of course, she had a soulmate by her side. It was a titan that almost resembled like her. And of course, the ancient empire, or the kingdom I was talking about, on this huge chunk of land right here, mysteriously betrayed her and her soulmate. So there was a huge massive war, but the ancient kingdom had the advantage. They had the advantage. So yeah, they had the advantage, and they were able to basically wipe out almost all of the bugling civilization. And as you can clearly see right here, this is just a refuge that few remaining bugs that still live today, hiding in these walls and traveling in underground tunnels. They're still thriving with a good military force. But this is just a refuge. Now, let's get back to here. In this whole game, you're gonna be played as the Traveler. A traveler who came from the immortal Empire lands. As you currently know, there's war everywhere. And he wanted to travel so much. He wanted to travel so much, and then he discovered this huge plot of land filled with many lands, filled with many laws, many kingdoms, and that is the reason why he wanted to travel. Before you play as this huge campaign right here, you have to play the first major kingdoms first, which it was, hang on, the Black Elf Kingdom, the Woman Republic Alliance, and of course, the three majors, the Egyptian Lion Pride, the Catling Kingdom, and of course, the Dogling Kingdom. Once you play those three campaigns, you will unlock this campaign down here. It will start off. The traveler will finally notice a refuge. This was a huge refuge filled with many different types of humanoid insects. And all of them tell him that their empire was huge, it was advanced, but stumbly betrayed by the ancient kingdom. So the traveler encouraged them to finally step out into the light, and they set out a huge, massive force, traveling down south, past the hidden path in the sandy mountains, crossing the land bridge, and soon found a huge, massive mountain where their huge goddess lies there trapped. So now, once you find her, there will be a huge cutscene. There will be a huge cutscene where you have to discover that she is basically hidden in this magic curse. And once you discover her, her presence will shock everyone. Her voice is basically deep. But however, once you free her from the chains, she'll be able to have enough strength to get her out of the mountain that has trapped her for millions of years. And she will let out a huge, massive war She will let out a huge, massive roar, telling all the kingdoms across the world that she has been awoken. And as for her soulmate was also not her soulmate was not trapped there. Her soulmate was actually trapped on the other side of the world where Grand Cathay is. Or maybe in the deep mountain region where the Ogre kingdoms are. So this is where she sends out a worm traveler. How about I'll give you a reference. I'll say the Hobbits, where you notice like the Battle of the Five Armies, where you notice the huge worms. I'll say something like that. She sends one of those worms to travel across the world by digging, and once he finds him, he will release his chains, and soon he'll be free. But once their goddess has been free, she'll be officially commanding all of the remaining refuge bugs from this refuge place, commanding them down here and rebuild the ancient civilization that they have lost. This is probably a huge discovery for all of you. So yes, once you order all your civilizations to come down here, this is where your main quest begins. Take revenge on this ancient empire. But however, after the past millions of years, the ancient empire has been in civil war lately. It has been split off into many provinces. So yes, the Eastern Province. Let me see, I can put my finger here. There we go. The Eastern Province goes down here to the Gunpowder Mountain. So hang on. Let me do something real quick. Okay, see my finger? This is where the borderline is. Go straight down here. This is the entire Eastern Province. Now let's go straight towards to the Western Province. Curves up right here. Now let's talk to the Southern Province. It's a huge chunk of land, but however, it's this portion. And now we have the Central Province. This is in the middle. The Central Province and the Eastern Province are the most greediest. They do not understand their mistakes. They continued their tradition long ago. But however, the Western Province has understand their mistakes. They want to become good. They want to become better. And the Southern Province is basically the same. But however, they have taken one of these settlements to the Gunpowder Mountain. And they don't want to share that with the other province. They want to keep that for themselves, remain wealthy, and if they ever get attacked, they have a lot of gunpowder firepower. Basically, any other armies try to confront them, they basically have everything they needed. Gunpowder, basically. The explosive that they needed. And of course, this is the huge, massive land bridge that is connecting from the desert region past down the sandy mountains straight towards into the Bugling Empire territory. And this sandy mountain is a huge, massive border wall to the Bugling Empire and the Great Animal Kingdom. So basically, the ancient kingdom has been separated into different provinces: the Eastern Province, the Western Province, and the Southern Province. Basically, this kingdom is basically divided. It's mostly ruined. So once you gathered all of the civilization from the refuge, this is your chance to expand outward towards up to this point. You must revive the Bug Council. And I'll bring up a reference. Have you ever heard of Star Troopers? There has been the Brain Bug. And of course, all of the other powerful bugs from the Star Troopers or the Starship Troopers. franchise, there's different factions. The plasma bug, the tiger bug, the tanker bug, and of course the grenade bug as well. All of the bugs from the Starship Troopers franchise are going to be spread out. They're going to be spread out. And your goal is to find every single council member. Once you do that, you're going to be entering into a cutscene. That worm that you sent off will find the soulmate that the bug goddess has been searching for. Unfortunately, she cannot move. She is trapped. She's still trapped in that mountain because of her body. Like I said before, her reference of her body resembles of a termite queen. But she cannot move, so she has to stay there. Unfortunately, that's how it is. But now we're in that cutscene where the worm found her soulmate, the king, or I should say the god of the Bugling Empire. Everyone hears the massive shaking going on, including the Order Kingdom. Everyone realizes there's so much shaking in the lands of Grand Cathay, the Northern Chaos Waste, the Ogre Kingdoms, and of course the Sour Lands of Grand Cathay. Once they realize, they notice a huge, massive titan that has emerged from the land. It has emerged from the land, and it lets out a huge, massive war across the entire plot of land of the immortal empires. The lands of Chaos, the Dwarf lands, the Elf lands, and of course the lands of Kislev, Empire, and Bretonia hear his roar. And all of them are all concerned, like, where this roar came from. But however, the god of the Bugling Empire has no intention of starting fights with these factions. So his goal is to reach back to his soulmate. He has a lot of energy to make this treacherous walk. So if any empire dares to basically confront him, he actually has an ability. He can summon all of the bugs from different factions to his position. And basically he can use them to protect him while he travels. So yes, while he travels, we're gonna be trying to use back towards to this kingdom right here. While he makes his way back to this plot of land right here. Now it's time to secure. So you managed to expand it all across from that point all the way down here. Actually, no, I mean from this point all the way up here. And now it's time to secure the money. It's time to get rich. So there's gonna be another quest. You need to find the hidden gold mines. So there's actually one major one, which is this plot of land right here that has actually been guarded. That has been guarded by basically a new faction for the Total for this Total Warhammer. Here, behold, the great faction of humanoid crabs. We can say something like that. So the humanoid crabs have been occupying this area for years, and it's fun to basically help them. So this is probably where you're going to declare war on another faction on this Eastern Front. And of course, we have no intention of destroying them all. So your goal is to secure the Eastern Front. securing the eastern front. And basically, the Great Claw is basically the home of the Crab Nation. Once you secure all of the gold, the Great Bugly Empire has been reforged, but not yet. I'll probably explain this more often in the next video, but we're gonna be entering into another cutscene. The bug goddess, her soulmate, has finally arrived. But however, he has traveled the wrong way. Instead of going the easy way, he has arrived on that point, on the Great Claw. He has traveled on that side. And of course, the Crab Nation sees him, and he noticed their goal. So they're trying to prevent this guy from reaching to his soulmate. So this is probably where another quest, you need to defend the bug god and manage him to get towards to this point. Once you do that, there will be another cutscene, but I'll explain that in another video. And I hope you guys enjoy this new plot of land for maybe Total Warhammer 4, or maybe a possible DLC, or maybe or could be a Total Warhammer 4 or 5. But if they ever have interest of seeing this giant map, just let me know. You can give me your contact or your email, or you can contact me. But if you guys have any thoughts or any knowledge, I'll let you guys know. If you guys have any thoughts or any knowledge that you want to answer me, you can leave it down in the comments, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.